a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is Mitu.
And my name is BJ.
And this week, we're watching the listener-requested Beyond the Villa on Peacock.
So stay tuned to find out who Mitu would beef with on this show.
Ooh, I know who I'd beef alongside.
That counts too. Before you reveal that, tell us what's happening in this spinoff.
Love Island USA Season 6 was a breakout season for the U.S. franchise that took America by storm. Now we're following some favorites from that season a year later as they spend a summer in L.A., navigating new careers, evolving friendships, newfound fame, and complex relationships outside the villa.
So Mitu, between the two of us, you have seen the latest season of Love Island. What was it like coming into a spinoff based off of previous season stars?
I haven't seen Season 6. The reason I watched Season 7, which I think a lot of people share this experience, is because we missed the boat on the magic of Season 6, and we wanted to see if we would be as happy as the others were. And the answer is no. Season 7 was...
You were happy for a while.
It was an emotionally draining watch. There was a morning where right after I brushed my teeth, I just shouted, "Release me, Love Island," because I just needed out of the villa. But I stayed through and I watched through the finale, and now I'm keeping up with them on social media. All that said, I just started Season 6, so my knowledge of this cast is based on the first episode, which introduces a few of them, not all of them. I think you have to be Love Island USA Hive, Season 6 Hive, to care about this group.
I agree. They don't spend much time setting up the backstory of who dated who was friends with who. We get some of the beef from the show, but otherwise, this is a group of strangers to me.
I think that that's fine in the sense that Season 6 was so huge that if you capture even a portion of that audience, then you've done it. You have captured enough people to make your show worth making. It's like when people make a nerdy show and they don't broaden it for audiences that aren't familiar with the lore. Like for those of us who are less familiar with the lore, it doesn't matter because they have enough people. I mean, I read that like there were just millions of unique votes each night that they had a vote for Season 7, like millions of people tapping in and uniquely voting. I was one of them. So I feel like they're just fine with their audience. But they definitely did not try to broaden this, and they did not try to introduce us too much into their backstories. And they even did, which I could have used without, even if I were Season 6 Hive, like 4 minutes of showing people at a step and repeat at a Love Island USA event.
Yes. Like you said, this show is for Love Island fans. And I think there are a lot of people probably like you who watched Season 7 or now are going back to Season 6, and this would be a good show to check out. But it was odd that how everyone was kind of reconnecting was at this party hosted by Peacock. It seemed to be a Love Island party where we saw other alums from previous seasons before Season 6, and just a lot of shots saying, oh, there's someone from Season 2. There's someone from Season 4. Oh, and they're the people you know on this show from Season 6. And that was probably very exciting for the people who've stuck with Love Island. For people new to the whole franchise like me, it was just a lot of strangers who do not talk and do not interact with the Season 6 cast. So a lot of wasted footage.
Beautiful people, beautiful backdrop.
Mm-hmm.
Just
looked like they were having fun.
Yeah, looked great. Looked, because I couldn't hear any conversation, nothing recorded. I do think that a theme that they start to explore here, especially through Aaron's story, which I loved watching him on Traitors. I didn't know that he'd taken kind of a villain turn on Love Island. But I think it's very interesting watching this story of going on this show that was fairly popular, but then it skyrocketed in popularity. So by the time you exit the villa, where you don't have access to internet, you don't have access to the outside world, you don't even have a watch, you suddenly leave and you are like the A-list of reality stars. These people have real commercials and they're doing movies and shows and they're endorsing competing hair care brands and they have all of this stuff going on. And I think it's just an interesting thing to see them go on like a somewhat popular dating show and then come out with a wild level of fame. And so it was interesting to see Aaron need to disconnect and like take to the woods for 6 months, which was probably the healthiest thing he could do because this is a fandom that can get, like with other reality shows, pretty aggressive. So I imagine because he, by his own admission, was like pretty mean to Kaylor, the comments that he was saying were probably abhorrent.
Yes, definitely the fast track to the influencer career path. And it's interesting to see which people on the show, like Kaylor, for example, who I think lean more into being this reality star versus others who seem a little more chill and just kind of there to have a good time or enjoying the experience. I think Kaylor, who seemed to be in the center of a lot of drama in this episode, she knows what makes good reality TV and is willing to go right into that mode, keep her career and relevancy going on. And then you have someone like, I think, Kendall, who just being a nice guy hanging out at the party.
That's true. Kendall had a very funny moment in the first episode of season 6 that I watched recently, but that obviously aired last year, where he kept making out with someone who was just many shades paler than him. So he kept looking as though he had just dived face deep into like a box of powdered donuts every time he came up for air from her. So it's nice to see his face undisturbed and just chatting with everyone, because truly my introduction to him is like powdered makeup all over his face. I think that Kaylor understands how to produce drama and is extremely 23 years old. The things that Kaylor was getting mad about, honestly, I was like, I could see a 23-year-old version of myself being upset at this, but I just didn't have cameras in my face. Thank goodness. She has an issue with Liv, who stayed with her and her family. She's like, Liv is supposed to be my sister, yet Liv told me that her athlete boyfriend is not having a party, but it turns out he still had a dinner, and Kendall seemed to have been at that dinner, but Liv told me there was no event, and now I just feel like she's leaving me out, to the point where she's calling her family and she sobbed about it for like hours that morning. That's very 23-year-old behavior. Whereas had they just talked about it, Liv was like, yeah, there was no party. Kendall truly happened to be at the same restaurant and we took a picture.
Even Kaylor's tension with Aaron, where she's like, I'm upset with the things that Aaron said. I'm nervous to see him. And then when they finally start talking, she's like, should we talk at my home?
Yes.
Like mixed signals, Kaylor. Maybe decide where you want this to go.
She even had JaNa praying over her. That was
Get the
so
support
funny.
everywhere.
She said, I need the support in the room and from above.
And we're talking about her, so it worked.
Now, JaNa's beef, I understood completely. I don't care if I'm unhealed. I don't know what that means about me. Because here's the difference to me. Apparently, Connor dogged her out in the villa, but that does not seem to be what she is upset about. It appears that what she is upset about is a subsequent podcast interview he did, or a couple, it seems.
He kept going.
Said very negative things about her. And so the apology that was shown on screen is for how he treated her in the villa, but it does not mention this podcast. But again, and this is where the show really intrigued me, Connor said to Kenny, well, the podcast kept asking about JaNa. They kept asking. I didn't want to talk about her. But then he just felt compelled to say all these things. And again, these are just like normal people who are suddenly in this strange scenario where there are cameras and microphones. And so perhaps he panicked and then just felt compelled to speak on her. He could have, as a human being with agency, chosen to say like, I'd rather not talk about her, or, I wish her well, even though we're no longer together. he didn't have to dog her out or say that she was two-faced and whatever the other things were.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's interesting that he was in a very, very strange scenario that 99% of us will just never experience.
Right. They're in a very different world, even if they come across normal. And I want to ask one question before we wrap up.
Yeah.
What do you think about Kenny and JaNa living in next door apartments?
That's very 20s behavior as well, where it's like JaNa clearly wants to live together, but Kenny is like, slow your roll. That is my read on it. But I will still come over every day, take out your trash. It seems like they're spending most of their time together, but just the commitment of like 2 signatures, 1 line, 2 hearts, 1 beat was just a little bit too much for him.
I applauded him for setting that boundary.
Yeah.
She's ready to go straight to, let's start a family. And he said, let's do a little in between. You have your own bathroom and bed. I have my own bathroom and bed.
She is a star, though. She cracked me up when she noticed how ridiculous the argument Liv and Kayla were having about secret glam and secret tanning sessions. And she, I think, understood, because they all seem very aware of the camera, how ridiculous they were coming off. And she kind of mutters to herself, or to Serena, who is another star. And she just goes, at least they both look pretty. Just like a conciliatory,
One positive about the situation.
At least they look nice while they're saying these ridiculous things. I laughed over that. That, and when she was talking to Kenny about Connor, and she said, God would want me to forgive him, but God knows I'm hard-headed. My girl.
So with your girl, and I say everyone on the cast is pretty, will you watch more episodes of Love Island Beyond the Villa on Peacock?
Yes, absolutely. If you are not Love Island Hive, this will not be interesting to you, I don't think, because they don't take the time to really build up who these people are. So there's an assumed level of buy-in that if you were new to this, you wouldn't have. If you are Love Island Hive, I think this is a fun one, because I feel like often those of us who watch dating reality shows, you are curious, like, after these things settle, how are these people doing a year later? So it's a smart concept, and I am excited to check it out, even if this first episode was a little bit slow. I would love to especially get it more into Cordell and Serena, which were the winners from last season.
Although, interestingly enough, I don't think Cordell is considered a castmate.
No, he is an aspiring actor, and he got a role on a TV show. So he had to be friend of for this one.
I think similar to you, I would recommend this to people who already have an interest in Love Island. They don't go into the backstory much. We get flashbacks to the season that explain why people are upset with each other. But there's so much history there that I'm sure is left out, that this is for the people who've already committed to watching season 6 or are maybe starting season 6 and want to see kind of how these relationships evolve. For me, without any Love Island history, I'd say I would maybe watch it while eating lunch with you. Like,
yay!
You could play it and I would see some entertaining arguments, but I wouldn't feel committed to following any of these people.
I've made you watch a lot of shows over lunch, so I'm excited to add this one to the mix.
We don't actually have to do it.
Yeah, we will, though.
Anyway, who would you beef with? Or no, beef alongside?
JaNa. Because I agree that if I have an issue with someone, my partner would then not speak to that person.
Interesting. What if that person wanted to apologize to you?
No. One time I got into an argument with this person who ran an events business, and I unsubscribed from their events business. And then I found out years later that my partner started marking their emails as spam. And I thought that was real love. It made me fall more in love with my partner because I didn't even think to do that.
I know you did. I'm laughing because it sounds so mundane, but I see how meaningful it was to you.
It meant a lot. He was like, he mentioned it. I don't know how this person came up, but he was like, yeah, I marked a few of those emails as spam. And I just didn't even think to do that. I was like, wow, you took that a step further than I expected.
Well, if you want to see where things go as we expected or not, head to our website at thepilotpodcast.com. That's where all our reviews are. And you can follow us on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
You can also follow us on social media at The Pilot Pod, and you can send thoughts, feelings, show recommendations, who you'd beef alongside to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.